The epitome of friendship right here. Triple H, don't you ruin this. Oh, hell. And welcome to part 2 of episode 1 of That Wrestling Show. That is right, I am going through on my promise. So I am going through on my promise. And that is that I will be it is a day later, not quite 24 hours later, but it is the next day that I'm recording these next two parts of That Wrestling Show episode 1. Yesterday I recorded part 1, which was a recap and review of Elimination Chamber. I uploaded it, but I didn't I put it as a private video, and I'm gonna release all these parts at the same time. So these will be coming out on Saturday. I'm also recording these last two parts on Saturday the 18th. So yes. So today for this part I'm gonna be doing a recap and review on this past Monday Night Raw from the 14th of February. Wait. The 13th of February. Sorry. Yeah, from the 13th of February. This past Raw from the 13th of February 2017. And wow, this was quite the Raw. I watched this Raw live. Some big things happened on this Raw. Some not as interesting things happened. But we'll talk about that. Definitely some, the Festival of Friendship was quite the time. But first, the first thing I want to talk about is I want to say congratulations to Fyodor Teddy Long for becoming the next inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame. Fyodor Long is the longest running non-McMahon authority figure in WWE history, so that's really cool, and the longest running SmackDown general manager. So cool stuff. He was a big part of my childhood. He was a huge part of my favorite era, the Ruthless Aggression era, and yes, you deserve it, Teddy Long. So congratulations. Um, I don't know if I'm exactly gonna go in order with the events I talk about here, but I think I might try. So, the show opens up with Stephanie McMahon coming out. I actually missed the first few minutes of the show. That's all I wasn't there for though, technically. But although I didn't pay attention to the full show. But Stephanie McMahon came out, and Roman Reigns comes out, and Roman Reigns is saying how he wants Braun Strowman tonight. He doesn't want to wait till Fastlane to face Braun Strowman. And then the club comes out and suggests maybe a 2-on-1 match, to which Roman Reigns, of course, basically buries the club. And this was possibly or probably the worst part of the show because the club got demolished. So, yeah. I actually don't remember the exact order of the show, and I know I don't have a picture for everything that happened in the show. The cruiserweight. I know I don't have a picture for one of the first cruiserweight match of the night, which was Noam Dar versus Jack Gallagher, which Jack Gallagher won with a huge headbutt and then a running drop kick into the corner. I think I'm going to go out of order. I'm going to come back here, so we're still on the Braun Strowman stuff. Let me check the pictures. Yeah, okay. Actually, yes. After Roman Reigns defeats the club, Braun Strowman comes out, which Roman Reigns at first kind of gets an advantage against Braun Strowman, but Braun Strowman, in the end, proves his superiority by getting Roman, by just making him getting groggy and stuff, and he gets him, and he does the running power slam, shades of the British Bulldog. So yes, sorry these pictures aren't in order. And I'm gonna go back now while we're on the topic of Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. Later in the night, Braun Strowman faced off against Mark Henry, to which Braun in the end dominates the world's strongest man and picks him up for another running power slam and beats the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. So yes, I didn't really watch that match, so I can't say how it was. I've been really enjoying Braun Strowman though; he's been really improving, and yeah. Um, Then I don't know what was next, but I'm going to talk about the second cruiserweight matchup of the night, which is Arya Dafari versus Akira Tozawa in Akira Tozawa's second Raw match now. He's gotten some of the biggest reactions so far out of all the cruiserweights. Akira Tozawa is an awesome wrestler. I think Arya Dafari is really underrated too. So this was a pretty good matchup between the two. Arya Dafari comes out with the win in the end. He's undefeated on Raw so far. And it was a pretty good matchup. I watched a little of it, and I wasn't paying attention for the full thing, but I did see some pretty good matchup, and it came out with the right result. So yeah. Then we go backstage. Michael Cole. I don't have a picture of this, but Michael Cole did um, Triple H and Samoa Joe arrive at the same time, and then we know later on and see later on that Michael Cole conducts a sit-down interview with Samoa Joe backstage. But we also see Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens are talking about the Festival of Friendship that's going to happen later on and all the awesome things that are going to go on when Triple H comes up and asks if he can talk to them. And Jericho's like, yeah, sure, we can. Um, and Triple H says, but to Kevin only. And him and Kevin go talk off, which we a few minutes later see here. They're talking. Kevin Owens looks kind of like he's on he's having some more issue here, but I don't know what that could mean. So yeah. Then actually, what do I talk about next? We're gonna talk about the debut of Emma Lena right now. Got two pictures here of Emma Lena. Emma Lena finally makes her debut, only to say she's gonna repackage herself back to Emma again. Apparently, backstage, why this has happened is because Emma couldn't pull off the Emelina character to what the officials wanted. It was supposed to be a throwback character to people like Sable and the Cat. But they really liked the character, and that's why they held it so much, and that's what they might come back in the future. But it was kind of like it kind of felt like WCW right here. It felt like a shoot moment where they were kind of making fun of the whole situation and whatever, and it was interesting. So I don't know when Emma's gonna return now, but I still want Emma. I still want to see more Emma. So yeah. Now I'm gonna talk about no, I'm not. I'm gonna go to the second last matchup or of the night, which was Cesaro versus Enzo Amore with their respective tag team partners in their corners. We had seen a backstage segment earlier and stuff. Enzo Amore kind of acted as the heel here to the Uber face Cesaro. And Cesaro picked up the win in the end, throwing Enzo Amore up in the air for an uppercut. So, yeah, I watched a bit of that match. Then we had Sami Zayn versus Rusev, and actually this seemed like it was a very good match. I did watch quite a little. I did watch bits and pieces of it. Rusev looked really good in the match. So did Zayn. Sami Zayn came out with the victory in the end, and then cut a heated promo against Samoa Joe, to which Samoa Joe's music hits and he attacks Sami Zayn out of nowhere like he has to Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns in the past weeks. So to where Sami Zayn ends up in the Kakita clutch, and Zayn passes out on the entrance ramp. So yes. Then I'm actually gonna skip over the Festival of Friendship, and I'm gonna talk about the main event first, which saw a new women's champion crowned in Bayley when she faced off against Charlotte in the main event. This was Bailey's moment. I don't know if this was the right time to crown Bailey as the new champion, but story-wise, it all made sense and came together, I guess. Dana Brooke came out for a Deus Ex Machina moment to help out Charlotte, but then Sasha Banks turned the tides around and hit Charlotte with a crotch as she had Bailey in the figure eight lock, to which the referee didn't see, and that helped Bailey pick up the win to become the Raw Women's Champion for the first time in her career. Should this moment maybe have happened at WrestleMania? Maybe. But I think, and I might talk about this more in depth at another time, but I think I like Charlotte's sort of gimmick right now to where she doesn't lose at pay-per-views. She is incredible at pay-per-views, and I think that maybe they should keep her pay-per-view rate going. I mean, she's lost in she's only lost tag matches, I think, or like, yeah, she's only lost tag matches, I think, on pay-per-view, or like multi-person matches. But yeah, in singles matches, she's undefeated at pay-per-views, and I think it should stay that way. So yeah, maybe I like that she has a record like that. But yeah, so we got some more pictures of Bailey here. What a great moment. You deserve it. You deserve it. But now we're gonna go. Now we're gonna move on to, in my opinion, what was the real main event of the show. It was Bailey versus Sasha was the actual main event of the show, but this was my main event: the Festival of Friendship, the celebration of the friendship of Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. Jericho. What a great friendship it's been. This is a time of celebration. Good times ahead. These two forever best friends. Yes, you all probably know what happens by now, but I'm gonna break it down for you guys. This was, I will say before I get into the explanation of what went down during the Festival of Friendship, this lovely time. This was one of the best, Raw segments. No, let me rephrase this. This was, of what I've watched, because I haven't watched that much Raw since the brand split, but this was the best Raw segment I've seen since the brand split, and this is probably one of my favorite Raw segments, possibly of all time. This was a fantastic segment, and the storytelling that went on throughout this segment was just incredible, and you wonder why WWE can't do stuff like this all the time. And I'll talk about what I wanted to say there later. But the festival of friendship is starting. We've got this really got this really show. Oh my God, this I can't find the word now. This stage presence. Chris Jericho comes out with this extravagant entrance with these showgirls and Vegas showgirls and everything. It was just great. Jericho's just for the occasion. It's some fantastic stuff. I think Kevin Owens comes out, and yeah, Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho hugged towards the beginning of this segment, showing how close they are, which was wonderful stuff. Chris Jericho was giving Kevin Owens some of the gifts of Jericho. He showed Kevin Owens a statue he got for $6,000 or something, which was totally worth the price. Kevin was showing kind of reluctance and didn't know why Jericho is going like so overboard for this Festival of Friendship. Then the next gift Chris Jericho has for Kevin Owens is the heart of Kevin, or whatever he called it, which was just great. As you can see here, Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho just the touch of Jericho. Just fantastic stuff. Kevin Owens said how he couldn't have that hanging in his living room because he had children and Jericho's not wearing pants. Some really good stuff. Kevin Owens is showing kind of like some reluctance towards this whole segment throughout the segment. We get another few here. Jericho is having the time of his life. He's having a good time, making jokes, kind of looking more like the old Chris Jericho, the fun-loving, babyface Chris Jericho that we all love during this segment. And Kevin Owens is trying to figure out why Chris Jericho is going through all this trouble for this festival of friendship the whole time. But then Chris Jericho says he has one more gift for you, and he says he's gonna promise Chris Jericho promises Kevin Owens that he is gonna help him beat Goldberg, or make sure that Goldberg doesn't make it to Fastlane, to which Goldberg's music plays and out comes the return we've been waiting for weeks now, for months, for years. That's right, it's Gilbert, everybody. Yes, Goldberg doesn't come out, and it's Gilbert, the WWE parody of Goldberg, the return we've been waiting for. This was better than Goldberg's return, to which Kevin Owens shows some anger at Chris Jericho's joke of a gift, and goes out and beats up Gilbert real quick. And Kevin Owens comes back in, and says, how could you joke about this? It's not funny. Joking. Jericho's like, you beat him. It's in Goldberg, and here's some really great material. These two have great chemistry, which has been talked about. But yes, Jericho actually becomes serious now, and he's like, I actually do promise you that at Fastlane, you will walk out Universal Champion. You will walk out Universal Champion, and you know why? Because I have your back. This past year, has been one of my favorite years throughout my whole career, and you know why? That's because of you, Kevin. You have been there. I've had many tag partners, but I've never had as much chemistry as I have with you, and I just want to thank you for that. To which comes back to the moment too where I think the two hugged again, or they hugged just in general. But Kevin says, you know what, Chris? I really do appreciate all the trouble you've gone through. And he says, I have actually got a gift for you too. I didn't think you'd go through this much trouble, and I don't think mine can compare, but I've got you a gift here that I think you'll love. So, yes. Then Kevin hands Jericho, I think it was a silver box after you go of his outfit. And he opens up the box, and there's a list inside. Kevin, you got me a new list? Actually, this works out really good. The old one's getting beat up and stuff, and it's becoming full with names, so I needed a new list. Jericho pulls the list out of the box, and in the camera, we can see in the camera, on the back of the list, it says the list of KO, and this is when we know it's about to go down. Then those 6 heartbreaking words. Chris Jericho says there's 6 heartbreaking words. Wait. He says wait, and then he says the 6 heartbreaking words. Why is my name on this list? And then Chris Jericho looks at the back of the list, and then Kevin Owens attacks with some punches, and he just beats down Chris Jericho in the middle of the ring. And throughout this whole thing, Kevin Owens is kind of showing some reluctance to do all this, but then he shows his aggressive side and his aggression and his demolishing Chris Jericho. The commentators are freaking out. They make it to the outside. Kevin Owens picks Chris Jericho up is gonna pick Chris Jericho up and give him a powerbomb on the apron, the hardest part of the ring. How could he do this to his best friend? Corey Graves says there were 3 things in life that are certain, and one of them is gone now. He listed them off, and the last one was Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens are best friends, and the last one isn't true anymore. and Kevin Owens picks Chris Jericho up and power bombs him right on the apron, the hardest part of the ring. Kevin Owens seems like he throughout the segment has seemed like he's been fighting something internally, and I guess we can see what that was now, and we gotta wonder, is this what Triple H and Kevin Owens were talking about earlier in the night when Triple H pulled him aside away from Chris Jericho, since Triple H has been pulling the strings and was the one that helped Kevin win the Universal Championship. He seems to have a lot of sway in some of these NXT guys of his, like Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. But back to Kevin Owens attacking Chris Jericho. The attack doesn't end with the apron power bomb, which it really could, because that is a devastating move. But Kevin Owens throws Chris Jericho back in the ring. Chris Jericho is really out of it right now. He picks Chris Jericho up and he throws him into the screen that they had in the ring for the Festival of Friendship. Shades of when Chris Jericho threw Shawn Michaels into the Jeritron 5000 or whatever it was in 2008. Kind of shades of that. Then Chris Jericho is laid out. Kevin Owens has stopped his attack finally. Doctors have come to the ring. Jericho is really hurt. And as we see a little later on, Chris Jericho is put on a stretcher and carried to an ambulance. And we know he was rushed. I think Jericho was rushed to a medical facility nearby. So yes. That was Monday Night Raw, and that was the Festival of Friendship. I also got this like meme here, things that make you cry, and so true. This was a devastating segment. Chris, Jericho's relationship, the storyline. This was the combination of what has been a pretty great storyline overall with these two. These two have had great chemistry and some of the best moments on Raw since the brand split. They have had the best moments on Raw since the brand split. This was the ultimate culmination of the storyline, and now it seems like the match is set. Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens for WrestleMania is probably going to happen, and I'm going to guess for the United States Championship also. And the sad thing is, this match really deserves to go, especially with this segment on Raw. This match deserves to be for the Universal title too, but it really does seem like there's no way Goldberg isn't going to win at Fastlane, especially now, since Kevin Owens doesn't have Chris Jericho to help him out. So it really should be made for me for the main title, but at least it's going to be for the United States Championship. Since Jericho's champion for the first time in his career, by the way. And yes, this was one of the best segments of Raw in a very. This was the best segment on Raw in a very long time. Possibly one of the greatest of all times, where it might be looked upon with the Shields breakup and Shawn Michaels throwing Marty Jannetty through the glass. It's going to be a classic moment in Raw history and in the history of the WWE. And this might be the moment where Kevin Owens might have pushed his way into my top 10 of all time list, or he's close to there. He's close to being in my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time now, probably, because his acting during the segment was great. You could see during multiple parts of the Festival of Friendship that Kevin Owens looked like he was fighting with the anger and fighting with some reluctance that he had inside of him, and we didn't know why. And well, we kind of did, but we all saw this coming, and WWE pulled it off brilliantly, and it was just a fantastic time. So anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna end this video here. I'm still devastated over Kevin Owens attacking Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho had some great acting too during the segment, and he had some great humor, like when he said "you beat him" and stuff. But the best moment of the segment, or the applause moment, the fantastic moment of the segment, most fantastic moment probably was when Chris Jericho when it all comes to fruition, we see a case of dramatic irony where we can see it says on the back the list of Jericho, but Chris Jericho doesn't, and then he says those 6 words, "Why is my name on this list?" That was heartbreaking. And then Kevin attacks after Jericho looks on the back. He sees the list of KO. Jericho is so surprised when Kevin attacks, and it was just fantastic. But anyway, guys, I think I'm going to end this video here. I still have another part of this record, but I'm going to upload this. These videos that I upload with screen recorder upload really quickly, which is nice. So yeah. But anyway, I think I'm going to end this video here. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, even share if you'd like to. Leave your comments of what you thought on Raw, and tell me how you're still devastated about Kevin Owens attacking Chris Jericho. Why Kevin? Why? How could you? But yes, anyway, guys, I'll see you all in the next video, and peace out.